Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. Today we'll be listening to the second part of a Clubhouse room discussion from the Clubhouse archives, and it's titled Where Things I Used to Believe. And we continue sharing some crazy things we used to believe as a result of magical thinking and our Nigerian environment. Many things we used to believe without evidence. So more people share some things they believed when they still had magical thinking. So if you're here to subscribe, please consider subscribing. This podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and many other places. So or just check out the pod page below. The link is in the description below. So now let's go and listen to the second part of Where Things I Used to Believe. Gooby, you're welcome.
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
I did alright, sir. We are talking about weird things we used to believe. What weird things did you used to believe, or which lamba you chop back in the day?
My brother, I chopped everything.
Yeah, he tells me some.
But in the midst of the chopping, that's the thing with indoctrination. When you start putting things inside the heads of people before they can think, then at the point that they can think, it's already too late. The brains are already padlocked. So, no, my brother, my own issue is that there has to be a separation. You have to grow beyond what I call the infantile things, right? So the first thing that I used to believe was, ask and it shall be given unto you. That was the beginning and the end of my journey with religion. It started to go south when I realized this thing is not correct. And I used to challenge everybody, this line is not correct. And then, of course, apologists, they will come and start telling you all kinds of stories that, sometimes God is protecting. The stupidest one that I ever heard in my life was, if somebody is praying for a car, but God knows that tomorrow you are going to have an accident in that car, He's not going to give you the car. And I'm just like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because there are accidents every day. Is God not protecting them? But of course, because human beings and religion, we always tend to be very selfish. It's always all about me. Oh, the plane crashed, everybody died, but I survived. Praise God. It does not make any sense. I'm sure as we keep talking, they will all be coming back to me one by one. Let me just allow other people to talk for them.
Yeah. That's true. Mr. Kingsley, you're welcome. Anything for us?
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, bro.
So, what weird things do you used to believe?
I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Oh my God.
No one comes to the Father except through me.
Oh, more.
Very weird indeed.
That's the odds.
Who is the Father? Who is the Son?
But they are all one.
Anyway, they are part of the weird things I've had in life. And another thing that I keep hearing on a daily basis is like, I'm Igbo anyway. I'm from the Southeast. If you ask most of my brothers and about their identity, they tie it up to Christianity, which is really absurd. Like your identity isn't tied to your religion. I don't have a problem if you want to be religious, but you can't tell me that I ask you who you are and you tell me you're a Christian. That's crazy. So it's part of the weird things that I keep hearing. But as time goes on, I'll still be remembering them and I will contribute. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. This is the Free Thinkers Hangout. Please follow the house. Follow the speakers. Follow everybody in the room. Let us rub minds together. We try to do these rooms like this every week to build our small community. Small. So, where things I used to believe. Who has noticed that I don't know if I think majority of the people that are anti-vax that are against this vaccine, they are religious people. Or
Yes.
It's easy for them to just believe that your DNA will be changed and you become something else, you become this, without any goddamn evidence.
Do you know how many pastors died because of this last year?
It's good.
Last year alone in the US. Do you know how many pastors that died?
The problem
Nuns.
is not enough Nigerian pastors have died for
This guy is
seriously. If people like Oyedepo, Adeboye, Oyakilome, they die, and coronavirus, that should be Joshua said, I won't be surprised if it's coronavirus that killed him. They will bury it. They not told us why he died.
Coronavirus.
So if you find out like 5 big pastors, people will start thinking, say, what's going on? Some will still rationalize, but a good number will say, God is not with this one, Ishao. Make her go collect that.
They'll say, God give it, God take it.
They will make an excuse. They will never think.
We're in trouble in this country.
God give it, God take it.
Hey.
God will always do his will.
Oh.
God gives to whoever is going to give. That's one of the things that people always say. When people are saying that there's evil, when I tell people that, do you know how many children, I said before you wake up tomorrow, that about how many children die on a daily basis. I've forgotten that number, the statistics. If it's 10,000 or so, I have to find out. About 10,000 children die every day of starvation, malaria, and many curable diseases in Africa. But when I tell people, I said these countries, they are the most religious. These people are praying that these children, they now say that it's the evil of man. Say these people don't. These people are innocent. Exactly.
Adam ate the apple. Adam and Eve.
This is the one thing that almost got me into trouble. Was like 2 years ago when I just became an atheist. Somebody posted one video. I've told this story before. Maybe some of you were in that group, one room that I shared this story. I shared there was a video that someone shared. The thing pissed me the fuck off. So I took that video and I posted it on Instagram because that time I was angry. You know, first year when you find out you lived a lie. I don't know, maybe it happened to you.
It's still happening to me. That's why I'm the ranting atheist. I'm still in that phase.
I was ready to debate anybody. That first year, I was very angry. So someone posted this video. I took the video and I posted it on my Instagram. I tagged all this hashtag atheism. This video was like a school bus. Some people might be familiar with it. It was a school bus carrying children, little children. I don't know if they were going home or they were going to school. And there was something flying. The thing was kind of like a blade. The thing cut the bus in half, it cut the bus in half, and the bus kept moving. Then there was one little girl that was on the floor in the bus. She was the only person that survived. See blood popping out from people's neck. Everybody was headless, beheaded. And guess what song they were playing? Jesus, you love me too much. Oh. That thing pissed me off.
Okay.
I felt like I was going to explode. That's all. Jesus loves you. All these other children, these innocent children that died, those ones, their lives, exactly. Their lives don't matter. But that single person that happened to be on the floor at the time that thing happened, Jesus loves that one. Where's our humanity?
Lost.
It's like the more Christian you are, the more selfish. You don't care about other people.
You have no idea.
You get a promotion. Other people who have worked hard, you say it was favor.
Grace.
People who deserve it. People who went to school, who went to study. People who spent a lot of money educating themselves and building themselves up to be qualified for a job. They didn't get the job. You got it because of some kind of connection. And you say it's God favor. That we've lost our humanity in religion.
Sorry, I want to say something in addition to what you just said now. Yeah, I do agree that a lot of religious people, especially Christians, can be very, very selfish. And I had one experience that is a very good example of this. So there is this friend of mine, it was actually an episode of my podcast, like one of the early episodes that I did. So I hosted this debate between the annihilation view of hell and eternal conscious torment view of hell. So the annihilation view of hell is basically that people that end up in hell are destroyed by God. It's not like they ceased. It's not like they continue to exist and continue to be tortured for eternity. That people that hold that view they don't believe that that's what happens to people. They just believe that they cease to exist, basically. Now, the other guy, the eternal conscious torment guy, they were arguing and all that. And he said something, and this made me just realize how this guy thinks. Like, it made me understand his thought process. He started his opening statement by saying, Christians that believe in annihilation, because he was defending eternal conscious torment. It was like, Christians that believe in annihilation, that the scripture is so clear that the reason why they believe in annihilation is because they are not sure of their salvation. So they are just trying to believe in something that is not so scary. So at the end of the day, they are like, okay, even if I end up in hell, I won't be tortured for eternity. Now, this says a lot about this guy. It says it shows that what he's thinking about, like when he thinks about salvation, hell, and all that, he doesn't really think about other people. He doesn't think of it from the perspective that, okay, even if I get saved, does it really make sense that people are getting tormented forever? Because he's looking at somebody that has come to a different conclusion, that doesn't believe that people are tormented forever. And the only thing he can come up with is that you are just taking that view because you are not sure you are saved. So he projects his own insecurity on other people. It's like, if you don't think that people that are not saved are going to be tortured forever, it's because you are not sure of where you are going to. And I think that is just telling. And it was later on that I really thought about it, and I was like, this doesn't show that this person is a really, like, this guy is a moral person. And that was just what I wanted to say. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Oh, I get you. I get you well. It is Christians, the matter, you just be face palm moments every now and again. Things that they do, things they say, the way they think is by the way, if you are a Nigerian,
I don't mind becoming a Christian. Once again, I'm giving room for that.
Why?
The people that used this Christian, they have to admit some of the things that they did in Africa. This Christianity was used as a tool to invade Africa. So until this religious heads are willing to embrace that side of history, and then we can have a discussion. We can have a discussion about religious doctrine, providing. I see it. They provide a psychological tonic, for people to cope with the unpleasantness of human experience. When you tell people that your belief system, there is a reward for all your sufferings here, it's the reward for it is in heaven. When you die, you get to have 70 virgins or whatever it is, like the other religions say. These are providing things for you to sell hope to you. But I still have to respect the fact that at some point in time, back in the years, like, you find out that this religion served as prerequisite to morality. But right now the world is changing.
We are waking up.
Morality is not dependent on religion anymore. That is the struggle. They don't want to still embrace what the world is all about right now. But I still respect the fact that they are making amendments to tell you that of course they are making up. When the Pope tells you that people who go for confession, if you commit a crime, they can still report it to the police and all that. They are making amendments. We have churches who are embracing same-sex marriage. It means they are open for us amendments.
But they keep defending their rapists. There are priests that rape children.
They will still get to that. So it's just like to tell you that the world is evolving and they don't want to be left behind. So what they are struggling with is maintaining their congregation. So
business.
It's just like when we talk about the customs around the world, these doctrines. Like I keep telling people, religion is amalgamation. Religion is just an amalgamation of cultures. Especially when you talk about Christian religion. It started in the Middle East, moved to the Europe and to the European shores, and it was transformed before it was being sold to Africans. So if you look at it, not just Christianity, but culturally, you'll find out that one of the things that bring about these changes around the world is social contingencies, and pragmatic considerations. These are the major things, the major factors. And, if some people within this religious sect say that they no longer want this, just like the Lutheran version of Christianity, they revolt and they can go their way. That's the beauty of it. So I respect everybody's view. And just like I say, Christianity or the Bible, the Quran has outlived its usefulness. So it's no longer important to me. The earlier the people know about this, the better. Thank you.
Are you done? Yeah. One of the things that you just said is very debatable. Like what you said about the religion coming from the Middle East and going to Europe and spreading to Africa. There are many people who believe that this religion actually started in Africa. Like someone, I can't remember who this person was.
Some crazy African Americans.
He said some of these things
African Americans. I usually say that.
Yeah, that they are embracing spirituality. Yes.
Okay, look, if you go to Africa like the Egypt now, you I don't know if you've heard about Bess. Before the Egyptology, like people tend to call it. The thing about Africans is that Africans believe in spirituality. I try to use the term spirituality because, presently you can see an African man who believes in his culture and at the same time, embraces another foreign religion. So it means that if you can be able to separate those two things, you can actually say you are practicing the culture on the physical level, because most African culture, like my Igbo culture, is interconnected with both on the physical and the spiritual plane. So that is why you see people bearing names when you loosely translate their name to English, there is always a spiritual undertone to it. So that person can decide to ignore the spiritual undertone and still understand that this is part of and that is a struggle with other foreign religion, why they have not totally annihilated the culture, the spirituality in Africa. Now, the reason why I mentioned amalgamation, if you remember vividly, I said amalgamation of different culture, is that you mentioned, being debatable that this religion actually came from Africa. What came from Africa is the spiritual life of Africans. They took those things and took some other element, and transformed it to what it is. It keeps undergoing transformation. What it was, that is why if you go to Christian, I talk about Christianity a lot because I was indoctrinated into it, without asking questions until I became an adult. So if you take Christianity, for example, and you look at the Vatican City, you will see that even during the time of Constantine, they had so many ecumenical councils. Those ecumenical councils were actually, coming together of people that really, was at the hem of affair in the religion to modify these things. So they are totally modified. It served as a tool because, slavery was, the religion, it was used as, I think, I can't really remember the verses, but I know for certain that, these verses were used to enslave people, to make people believe that, we are of, superior being than you, Africans. So you go about even the spirituality in Africa right now is operating, is being sustained under the smoke screen of Christianity, especially in the parts of the world we're living. So it's complex, but the important thing is that the Judaism in the Middle East, the Christ that we talked about in Christianity, it can be traced to present day Syria. And, so that's why I said Middle East. And the first person that moved was Paul. I think it was Paul. When Paul moved from a particular place and went to another place. So they started fusing Greek mythology, which the Greeks that you're talking about traveled down to Africa and took a whole lot of myths from there and, came back to their place and they found the need to replicate what they brought from Egypt. So
thank you. I like where you're going now, because it's like you are going to where I was coming to. I was about to ask you because I'm not
agree, but the thing is,
I'm not an expert in this.
Yeah, if we concentrate on it, that means we are drifting from what the topic is all about. So that I just wanted to touch it a little bit to make you know that I understand what you're saying. So, and we had the, what's it called? The Germanic and the Noshk and the whole lot of them. All those things were fused. They were fused together. So that's why I say it's an amalgamation of different religion, because they just wanted one God. Everybody it was just a means to unify the world, but it didn't work.
Exactly my point.
If you listen when I said it has outlived its usefulness.
Yeah.
It has outlived it. Like, it's no longer important, because that was back then. It didn't work. So people are still holding on to it because, of course, the human experience is always looking for something to satisfy. Like I said, it serves as a psychological tonic to the unpleasantness of human experience.
Thanks to
so let me just add something to what you just said. It might not be 100% accurate, because I've listened to so many people, so many materials, and I've also talked to some Jews personally, and these people don't believe in Jesus. So what these people believe is that they believe that with the help of Josephus, I don't know if they even existed in the same time, Josephus and Constantine, they came together to create this religion that will be better than Judaism. That's why, I might be wrong, that's why the headquarters of Christianity, or let's just say Roman Catholic, is in Rome and not Israel. Because we're trying to make a God that was bigger than their own God.
It's still unification.
The Judaism God.
No, it's unification. It's unification. They co-opted the Jew story. That's why you see that the Gospels are referring to Isaiah to pass in the Old Testament, so as to validate the New Testament that is the spin-off from it. So it's still that unification.
Exactly.
The unification, as Kisley says, the unification goal to make the Jewish people.
Correct. And the Quran too is also using the same scriptures, and they're now telling you that Muhammad is the final prophet. So his one is the most up to date.
Yes, updates.
So all of them are old scriptures.
Software
what does that mean, John Smith, though? Because isn't John Smith another newer prophet?
That one has come. Joseph Smith.
That one is
Mormon. Joseph Smith is a known con man.
I like that one, because they allow you to marry more. They allow women to marry you. So as I did now, I feel marry like 4 wives, just like Islam.
Joseph Smith has come on. Gubi, you have to say something.
Yes, I think Kingsley had actually mentioned something about still going back to Christianity. I don't know how in my own world that will be possible, because the only way I can ever go back is if I have sound evidence. And this is reminding me of a conversation I had with one of my friends.
Bro, sorry to interject. I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Oh,
I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Excellent. But anyway, I will still share the story anyway. So she is a Christian mama. And me, I used to just tell her, madam, all these things, I don't understand. And she has polio. And because she has polio, she keeps on holding on to Christianity as a way for her to be delivered from this polio. The problem is that I cannot tell her, I can't be so strict with her and tell her, madam, forget about this thing, you're not going to be cured. But I also don't want her to be taken advantage of by all the different, because she keeps going around from one church to the other. And of course, this false hope thing. So I just try and lead her there with my words, but I don't want to tell her wholehearted that this is the way it is. So I remember one of the conversations that we had once, and she just couldn't understand how I didn't believe in God, and I couldn't believe how she believed in God. So we basically got to this point, and I asked her, "Come, Do you know that if we were presented with evidence, I would believe in God 100%. If the evidence suggests this, I don't have a problem with it. Now, let me turn the question to you. If there's 100% evidence, this is hypothetical anyway, that there's no God, will you stop believing in God? And she said no. So I told her, the issue is not whether God exists or not. The issue is that you want God to exist. And so evidence is not going to help you in any way.
Typical.
I don't know, have we experienced anything like this in our own?
Yes, they say nothing can change my mind. Nothing. When someone says that you are already, there's no conversation with such a person. You are wasting your time. You might as well go and watch paint dry on a wall. It's dead on arrival.
No, it's okay. It's okay for someone to say they believe in God. Like, I hope I'm not interjecting anybody. But when you tell me that you believe in God, I will ask you, do you believe in God based on your own experience or based on an offshoot of someone's experience?
Of course not.
Now the thing is, I always, challenge the person. It's more like I'm putting it up to you to experience God. Forget what you know and experience God. You wake up in the morning. If I'm breathing air and anything is inexplicable to me, I can call it God, since God is unknown and unseen, right? So if I feel love, that is God. If I'm expressing love, I'm the God you're seeing. So how else will you want me to tell you that these things cannot be given, those things that you feel that are inexplicable is what you can call God. And that is what the Bible is always telling you. Because at the end of the day, it's all about people's experience. So I would challenge you to experience that same God without hanging on to what the Bible is telling you. Then you see that you have no reason to hold on to that thing that the Bible is telling you. It's simple.
I think that one of the issues that people have, that's why I don't know if I should feel sorry for them, because I was once in their shoes and nothing could convince me. I told you that this my whole journey. It took me almost 2 years to finally decide to look for evidence. The seeds were planted little by little. It was until it was one class that completely blew that just blew the whole thing out of the water. I happened to be after taking all these classes and talking to people, Jews, and seeing that some people don't believe, and I was seeing them as crazy. I was forced to take two classes actually. I was forced to take one. The other class was a prerequisite for a program I was trying to get into. I was taking anatomy and physiology at that time, which is something, but I was now forced to take humanities. I was not really a fan. But this instructor kept on giving us assignments. And this textbook that he chose, this textbook dissected, he entered into Quran, Buddhism, Bible, scriptures. You see scriptures from these books inside this humanities book. It took us back to the Stone Age, when there was no vegetation, when men were hunters, and that was how we survived, that we're hunting. Men, how we evolved to the vegetation. They call all this era. This thing has been it has been a long time. It's not fresh in mind, but some of you already know what. So all they said, that was the first time I was forced to question this. And I looked at, and I was taking anatomy at that time, and we had this skeleton. I now looked at the ribs. I looked at male and female ribs. I asked the instructor because I wasn't convinced still, because I saw that they are equal. I had to ask the instructor. He said they are equal. I said, "Are you sure?" He looked at me like, "Does this guy know what to say?" They are equal. That's nothing. So this thing refutes the Bible in here. OT refused in here, because the Bible says that they took one rib from Adam. So if it took one rib from Adam to create Eve, how come that rib went back there? How come they have equal ribs? That was when I now went into the Bible. The first thing I asked, I went on Google and said, "Is there a God?" I was expecting that I would see complete yes. Then I started seeing YouTube videos, debates, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris.
Voila.
That was where this thing opened me up. I now started spending money. I bought Bible audio copy. 2 different versions of my Apple books. I read it. I listened to the thing, cover to cover. I finished that one. I said they have to be true, because one of the things that I could not wrap my head around was, if there is no God, or if Christianity is wrong, there has to be a religion that is right. Because how did we get here? Someone created us. I didn't create myself. And that is one of the things that these people still add. This is still one of the major arguments that many of these religions, because they'll be like, okay, because they're not comfortable with the fact that they're not comfortable with the answer of I don't know.
Yes.
Nobody's comfortable with I don't know. They know that if it is not, then who created us? There has to be somebody, whoever that person is. We want to worship that person. That's why some people, that's one of the reasons, and the other reason is some people are scared of death. And that's one of the things that makes religion sell. They say if you don't subscribe to this religion, when you die, you're reborn for all eternity. And all of them have their different versions of hell. So for those 2 major reasons, that's my opinion. That those are the 2 main reasons that if those 2 questions can be answered satisfactorily, religion will be nowhere. Thank you.
Wow, that's a fantastic story. This is why I really like hearing people's story, because people came from different points to reach this.
I'm sorry to cut you. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I appreciate what Ranting Atheist is doing and Onome John, because it is those little seeds. One person that is listening to it just saying this is bullshit. One day that person will be forced to think that, what if this guy is telling me the truth? What if I'm wrong? That's what's going to make it. Is not one day something. I myself, I used to just turn this thing off. The first time I watched one of these debates, I was like, this thing is flawless now. Until when this guy started making points, I was like, wow. So debates exist. If something is real, you don't have to. It's just like, let us start debating now that the sky is blue. If something is obviously true, there's nothing to debate. That's where you have to now differentiate between faith, belief, and knowledge. You can't have faith in something that you already know. Knowledge cannot be equal to faith. I'm sorry to cut you. I took your time again.
No, no.
You can go back. I'll not interrupt you again.
That is not like what you just said now. When something is for you don't need to debate. When people we keep doing this debate of God. Let us see it. Because we keep saying him. Does God have a penis? I keep asking that. We keep asking that question. When we keep saying him, does God have a penis? Enore, you want to say something?
The personification of God.
Yeah, to the point of sowing seeds, I had a conversation with a friend recently because I said something about my WhatsApp status, and he's like, "Oh, I stopped reading your WhatsApp status because you're gonna cause me to backslide." And I said, "If I cause you to backslide, that means your faith is not strong to begin with." And so he actually came into town recently and we did lunch. And so we started talking religion. And he was like, yeah, he reads the Old Testament and struggles with it. And he feels like God is just throwing temper tantrums all over the Old Testament.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, I mean, I said, you have, I'm like, you have sense. So I won't even spend too much time with you. It's a matter of time you figure out where you land. But his mom's a pastor, his wife is religious. So people like that, it will take them time or, they just, but my thing is, if you want to hold on to belief, that's fine. It's when you think, like one of my biggest pet peeves, if you tell me that the Bible is the inerrant, inspired, self-contradictory word of God, I can't even have a conversation with you because to me, you're too far gone. The world will fix you. I don't even know yet. But when
I was like that.
I'm like, well, I just laugh because I'm like, it doesn't contradict itself. Do you want me to start pulling up? And then when you now pull up examples, they'll say, "Oh, that's translation." Okay, we can't even have a conversation. But yeah, so I'm like, my goal is just to get people to think, right? Why do you believe what you believe? if you can satisfactorily tell me, I'll leave you alone. But when you start telling me, hey, yes, my God never fails me. Like my sister was like, my God never fails me. I'm like, where was he when your mother was in the hospital dying? I don't want to talk about it. No, let's talk, because you are here telling me God will do it for me. God will do this for me. God, and where was the God when your mother was dying? So I'm just like, I just want people to think. I don't know if you want to hold on to stuff because of one reason or the other, that's fine. But I just want you to believe because you have thought about it, and your belief gets sense more. Like that, then I'll leave you alone. That's all I have.
Makes sense.
Let me quickly answer Honore. Honore, the reason why people say it's self-contradictory is if you look at some verses, you will understand that most biblical scriptures are ambiguous. They're ambiguous, and the Bible itself is allegorical, so it's full of allegories. So if you try to take this interpretation to match another interpretation, that is why, to me personally, I still see the Bible as one of the best books out there, because I can literally take the Bible to brainwash like 100 million people. It's a tool. And I'll give it interpretation to make money for myself. And I'll still have somebody give it different interpretation. Look at the church today.
Yeah.
Look at the church today. How many denominations? They are preaching different things. And you see them challenging each other. So it's to tell you that this thing is open to a whole lot which contradicts itself. And look at where we are pre-colonial time. Look at where we are when, first interaction the Africans had with, Europeans. What happened? Why do we now, why are we so, excited when people talk about a foreign religion? That is one thing that makes me crazy till today. So it's served as a tool. It's not that we're not that smart. It's because we are not still open to reasoning. And the only way to correct this thing is our education system. Like I was having a conversation somewhere before I came into this room. Like the one of the major things that we lack is critical thinking. When kids are growing up, we still use this religion, to shut them down instead of allowing them, with their curious mindset to grow with it. To find a way to cut it off. I think that's one of the best solutions. But coming to what you said, I just had to chip in to tell you that, based on its ambiguity, it is self-contradictory.
The Bible is it's a complete mess. I remember I said it in one room like that Christianity is the most confused religion. And the Christian, they took it very personal, saying I should stop. I'm like, excuse me, I'm stating facts. It's not my own truth. If we sit down here, we are going to break down the different sects of Christianity, how it spins off into hundreds of thousands. It's a tiring topic, but that's a story for another day. Just like
one website.
One website. The Bible is telling you that you can enslave people. The other minute is telling you that you can free people. You're just crazy.
No.
One website says that there are about 45,000 denominations of Christianity. But that one doesn't really sound believable. But according to worldchristiandatabase.org, it says 9,000. That one sounds more believable to me, but I've heard in so many debates that they say 45,000. And that was in 2019.
Somewhere, the 5 main sects of Christianity, they are like, is it 5 or 6 of them? Maybe that one, I wrote it somewhere. Is it 5? Yeah. Anglican, Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Protestant, there was Restorationism, something like that. Then
that Protestant is broken down into many.
Protestant.
There was Southern Baptist.
Please, I have a question. Have you noticed the pattern? Have you guys noticed the pattern when it comes to movies? If you're watching, like, I'm somebody who loves historical movies, like I've been to Iceland, I've been to Norway, and I've followed most of their documentaries, and I've actually visited their museums, studied their history. But when you follow their documentaries, you realize that they fall under the category of science fiction. But the documentaries about Christ, do they fall under the same category?
No, because people believe that these things really happened. Snakes.
But it's the same thing.
Someone walked on water.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, but what you believe is irrelevant.
It's fiction. If you tell somebody that, their spiritual belief is just like the Knoxmen that believe in Odin, and you say that these things are myths, right? And they are sci-fi. Why can't you tag the same thing with Christian religion and Islamic religion? Are they all not myths?
We will get there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we will get there, but I don't think it's going to happen in our generation.
I'm not sure, because these lies,
of Jesus Christ.
the lies have entered the internet, which is already a big problem. So it's going to still be passed on from generation to generation. So it's a slow process.
But I would still say that I'm actually a bit encouraged, because at the time that I became an atheist, I was sure that I was the only Nigerian atheist.
Are you serious? You too? Me too. I'm telling you, if you know how happy I was.
They wouldn't think indoctrination was just too strong, so I was sure, so I just kept to myself.
I'm telling you, that's exactly the same thing I felt until I found Leo Igwe. Do you know Leo Igwe?
Yeah.
It was the first Nigerian that I saw that did not believe. And it was one video that he released that time about witches and all these countries, how he was studying this witchcraft stuff, how many women have been banished, falsely accused of witchcraft just because of some characteristics. And this thing happened. I'm telling you, it also happened in Europe.
Exactly.
It happened in Europe. They were even burning them and hanging them.
Salem witch trials.
Hanging them.
These are the human tendencies to seek order.
It happened in America too, yeah.
These are the human tendencies to seek order. And these things happen when there is conflicting desires. It is normal for the continuous survival of human being. It's part of the experience. You see people, come up with totems and prohibitions that is hedged around their belief system to ensure that some orders, the orders that they have sought is not violated, and all these things becomes customs. That is where customs come into play. They are all wrapped up in or crystallized in belief system or supernatural forces. To me, they are all made, so these things can easily be challenged, and it is that connection of supernatural forces with the way we live our life that makes people believe that they have to hold this thing so supreme that nobody is bound to change it. It makes them become rigid, and it becomes a convention in the society. So I totally agree with you, son of God.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's ruling the society now. The people that believe, if you go and check out the people who still believe that the earth is flat, go and check most of them. They are holding on to this because the Bible describes the earth as flat. The firmament and sun hitting the whole surface at once. If you hear the whole thing, you might almost be convinced that the earth is actually flat. You need to go and listen to those people's debates.
And you know what convinced us that the world was not flat? Evidence.
Funny.
Yeah, so they don't work with evidence. They only work with. That's why where they believe weird things. When you believe things without evidence, you can believe anything if it is well packaged.
Do you know that in history? Or do you know in history somebody was actually burnt alive for saying that the earth was the center of the universe?
Oh.
Giordano Bruno. I can't. I'll look for the guy. Put him on my. So
burnt alive for
when I was Yes, he was burned alive. Yes, because the church ruled that time. Anything that was opposing or contrary to what the scripture said, it was considered as heresy. Exactly.
Those are the dark ages.
Exactly.
That's why they're dark.
But obviously, Genesis are
and that was the time.
Crazy.
Exactly. That was the time. And that was that. Oh, sorry. Let me just say. And that was the time that they will hire all these people. They will say they are chosen by God. There was one documentary I was still watching some months ago about how one guy he died eventually. I think he fell sick and he died. This guy they called him a witch hunter. They would claim that the people they used to hire him. They would call him. The guy reigned in many towns in Europe. Anytime they say anyone is accused of witchcraft, he will get that person, torture that person, and make that person to confess. There was even this river that they will throw the person into. And they say if the water rejects them, it means that the person is not a witch. But if the person sinks, it was part of the torture tactic. If the person sinks, it means that the person is a witch.
What kind of scam is that?
And they used to try to cheat. They used to try to cheat and make people sink. All these things they happen. And it was the church that was hiring these people. And once you're accused of witchcraft, they hang you or they burn you. Then they were burning them initially. They now started hanging them. And it was the church that was controlling all this thing.
The evil that the church has done. If we start down, we'll sleep here. Oh, maybe we start ranting about it. It's almost 2 hours now. It's almost 2 hours now. It was nice having everybody here. I want to go sleep. Work day tomorrow. Also continues.
No. Thank you for having me.
Everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. Thank you, Enare. Thank you. Thank you, everyone in the audience. We'll see you. We'll do this again next week.
Thank you. All right. Good meeting y'all.
Same here.
Bye.
Have a good night, everybody. Samuel, we have finished. Sorry. All right, so we're ending the room. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Kindly subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and many other places. Have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next one.